5 at the plate. And a difference maker could be Jenna Laird, who leads it off here. The senior has gone 0 for 8 over the first 2 games.
Yeah, so uncharacteristic of Jenna Laird, and I feel like she is a ticking time bomb, and she's been having some hard outs and not just getting anything to get through.
And certainly a familiarity both sides, having just seen Backus for the final 5 outs of that first game. So Laird, third-year leadoff hitter, takes up and away from Backus, 2 balls and 1 strike.
And definitely the advantage point goes to Laird. I mean, this is the 3rd time, she's faced her in 3 games. Being able to see her, and when you're facing a pitcher and you've seen her multiple times, it allows you to be a little bit more comfortable in the box. You know what to expect.
Laird rolls it over. Digby taps the bag 1 away. So game number 1 of the day, 3 trips to the plate. Laird did not hit a ball out of the infield, and the contact there just gets it up the first base line. Laird 0 for 9 in the series, and it's Alex Honnold. Game 1, she was 2 for 3. And strokes this out toward right center field on the run. Dallas Goodnight makes the grab. 2 quick outs. Certainly going to be a test of endurance here going from game 2 to game 3. A warm day, although some cloud cover has rolled in to make it a little bit more comfortable here in Athens. Maddie Gallagher, the senior second baseman. The daughter of a softball player. Her mom played at Fairfield. Grew up on Long Island, just about 25 minutes away from her fellow middle infielder, Jenna Laird. Missouri looking for their first series win here since joining the SEC. Coming off of a series win against Florida for the first time in 10 years last weekend. This is just out of play. Mosley went over for a look.
I thought she was going to be able to get to that. And Mosley just setting the tone defensively in game 2, just making some solid plays at third, and defense has been the name of the game in game 1, and Bulldogs not being able to capitalize on some good defensive plays in the first game, but I feel like they made a lot of adjustments in game 2, and we're a different team.
And statistically speaking, we saw just 1 error committed in game number 1 on the Georgia end by Chambly out in right field. So Lily Backus last game closed out a game, finished off a ball game for the 18th time this year, most in the SEC. And she's pitched far and away the most innings on this roster as well. Now with 2 outs here in the inning, 114 1/3. Next closest is Shelby Walters at 88 2/3. Payoff pitch, fouled away again. What a boost as well. It's every sport now, college sports, though, where the roster can change so drastically year to year. Adding her from the North Carolina roster, coming back to her home state, and helping fill a lot of innings in the circle. It'll be at least 9 pitches here for Maddie Gallagher.
Yeah, Lily Backus has been a big addition and complements this pitching staff so well. Her being a lefty pitcher, she goes more up, and that changeup, she complements Walters so well. Walters is more firm and down, uses that side to side, uses her curve, and so she's just fit in perfectly with this pitching staff.
Upstairs ball 4, so Gallagher draws the walk. And she's a 2-out base runner for Abby Hay. And just a couple of defensive changes in the lineup for Georgia from game 1 of the day to game 2 as Ellie Armistead returns to the starting lineup at short. I should say only really one change. And sometimes you think game 1 to game 2 of a doubleheader, it'll be different catchers, as is the case for Missouri. But Sarah Gordon gets the call here in back-to-back games. Hay was 2 for 3 in game 1 of the day, down in a 1-2 hole, and takes a called strike 3 on the inside corner from Beckett last night. And this was something that Larissa Anderson talked about during the week, that she had contemplated putting McCann into a starting role. Wasn't sure that she wanted to do it because of how well she's pitched in the latter innings, but giving her the opportunity here, let's see how it works out.
Well, it's the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. They've been getting the wins and really, utilizing their normal rotation with Cringe pitching. And so, I love this opportunity here after getting the loss of game 2 of giving McCann a start.
So her 3rd start in SEC play. As she works against the top third of the order, Goodnight, Gordon, and Goodwin. This is a challenge over to first. Hay has no play. That's the pressure Dallas Goodnight puts on a defense. If you can't beat her to the bag, she's going to be safe.
Yes, I've just been so impressed with Dallas Goodnight in that leadoff spot. I mean, she has so many options. She can run through the box and slap. She can put down a bunch. She can hit for power. She had her first grand slam last weekend against Kentucky, and so she's just been able to do so many different things and showing off her speed right there.
10 for 13 in stolen bases on the year. Sarah Gordon made some good contact in game number 1. There goes Goodnight, and the throw gets into shallow right center field. It's 2 bases on the play for Goodnight. And the heat has been turned up on the Tigers in the bottom of the 1st.
And Goodnight just gets such a good jump, stealing the space, and sees that the ball is not there, and immediately goes to the next bag. And that's exactly what you need to do as a base runner. Don't hesitate, just keep running.
So the bunt was on for Gordon, and now she'll be free swinging here. 0-1 in the infield in. Goes down as a stolen base for Goodwin, her 11th of the year, and the error charged to Maddie Gallagher at second. Gordon looking for her first hit of the series, last year's ACC Freshman of the Year. And the 1-2 behind the second base bag. Gallagher calls off Laird. And an ideal situation there for McCann and Missouri to get out number 1.
Just so much good communication between Gallagher and Laird. And in general, rule of thumb, your shortstop should take that ball, but I think Gallagher's in the better situation to throw. Had Goodnight tried to tag at third or try to test her, and so in that situation, good job by Gallagher.
Hey, you never know. Even if it's a pop-up on the infield, you could get an obstruction call. as was the story of the day in college softball yesterday.
Right. I mean, it's like, why don't you just test it and go and see if you get that call going your way? Use it to your advantage.
Decisive play in game 1 of the series between UCLA and Stanford. Want to know the count here on Jaden Goodwin. And that'll be enough with the speed for Goodnight over at third base to get home and score, and she is in easily. Sacrifice fly for Goodwin, and it's 1-0 Georgia. A good start for Goodwin, although she doesn't get on base. She was 0 for 3 in game 2, but brings home the run, and the Dogs this year 28-3 when they have scored first.
Number 8, Jada Kearney.
Bases clear, 2 down, Jada Kearney. Oh, great grab by that guy behind the first base dugout. I'm always of the camp that if the ball is coming back into the booth, I'm getting out of the way.
You're not going to make your debut and make the big catch?
I'm not going to end up in the emergency room, I think is the case. That guy did it one-handed. Check swing and a ball in the dirt, and they count 1-2. Daly gobbles it up, and the inning is over. But Dallas Goodnight helps produce a run, a single.
This recipe of who's going to step up and get it done, and that seemed to be the lineup to get things done and make things happen.
A freshman, Stefania Abriscato, leading it off here, who was recruited at Hofstra when Larissa Anderson was the head coach there. Now year number 6 at Missouri. But that was, of course, before the recruiting rules changed. So you could be recruited back in 7th grade. But Abriscato had committed to the previous staff at Missouri and kept her commitment even after the coaching change.
And Coach Anderson is so excited about her future, and she's just such a feisty hitter. You know, she finds a way. She'll find ways to get on. She'll take her walk. She'll get hit by pitches. Hits the ball behind runners. Had productive out yesterday.
And I don't know how much of their social media content you've taken in, but sometimes they'll go on the road and they'll give a camera to a player. When they give it to Stefania, she has to have the most personality on the team.
Does she need her own show?
She might. She gets everybody fired up. You talk about the focal point of energy for a team the next 4 years.
Yes.
She's going to be right in the middle of it.
That's fun.
Here comes the payoff from Backus. Shallow center field. And Goodnight retires Abriscato. So games 1 and 2, Katie Chester was a pinch hitter and came up in both situations. Double drove in a run last night. Game 2 drew a walk when she was called on as a pinch hitter. Rewarded with the start here as the DP in game number 3 to decide which team wins the series.
That was a big old hack.
But she's bumped her numbers up from a year ago as a freshman, hit 190 with 3 home runs and 11 knocked in, so up in every category. And they count 1-1 from Backus. And both of these teams targeted for the postseason. You look at the postseason projections, both as of the latest this week, in position to be hosts, one of 16 for the NCAA regionals. Last year, Missouri reached for the 16th straight year. Georgia blew right through their regional here in Athens and ended up falling in 2 games against Florida State in the Supers. That's high and deep out toward left field. Goodwin is at the warning track and gets it in the glove. That was a long way to go. The wind carrying it toward the alley, and Chester is out number 2 on a long fly ball.
And Daly hits this hard and puts her hands up because she thinks that is out, but Goodwin says, nope, not today. What a great run by Goodwin. I mean, she just covered so much ground on that, stayed with it. Great play.
Well, we talked about it in game 1 of the day, how the absence of the trees in the outfield has, at least anecdotally, impacted some of the wind here. And the wind has been carrying out game 1 almost to straightaway center field, and game 2 here out toward right center field. And yet, the one home run was one that bounced off the top of the wall, just barely cleared the fence. Kara Daly picked up a hit in the first game of the day. She takes low 3-1 on a ball that was originally scored as an error on a ground ball to short and later changed to a single. Out to the gap, left center field. Goodnight looks up, and it's a no-doubter for Kara Daly. And we are tied at 1. Daly's 6th home run of the year, 27th run knocked in. A team leader in home runs gets another.
And this has got to feel so good for Kara Daly. She's been slumping just a little bit and just hits this ball so hard, stays in her legs, stays behind it. And off the bat, you just knew that I was out of here, and makes it look so effortless.
Well, it's not been much. Kind of scratching my head here thinking Shantice Phillips comes up. Has there been an inning where the game has been tied in the series thus far?
No, I think this is the first time.
It's been back and forth. Twelfth homer of the year allowed by Backus. Phillips 0 for 2 in the first game. Real close, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Donald Brown behind the plate here for the 3rd and final game of the series. And that just got a piece there of Phillips. So after Backus got the first 2 outs pretty quickly against Abrascato and Chester, the Daly home run, and Phillips takes first. Kaylee Langer, the sophomore out of Liberty, Missouri, former high school teammate of Katie Chester, batting in the 6 and 9 spots respectively here this afternoon.
And she's just been hot this series, 2 for 6 with a double last night. Had an 11 pitch at bat and fisted a double in shallow right.
A little surprising that Sarah Gordon kept the ball in her back pocket there with Phillips scampering off the first base bag. Although there is something to be said with 2 out, avoiding a throw that might put a runner into scoring position.
And I think smart, you know, just when we talked about defense, not making unnecessary throws, taking care of the ball. It's not needed, don't do it.
Wisdom that comes with age and maturity, and Gordon not even yet through 2 years of college softball. That's blooped into left field, down for a base hit as Goodwin takes it off the turf. Runners at first and second with Missouri mounting a 2-out rally.
Back to the top of the order now for the Missouri Tigers.
What a relief it would be, and a big sigh of relief if Jenna Laird was able to come through with a base hit, which she's not been able to do through 2+ games and 0 for 1 today. And the story of game 2, all 4 runs for Georgia coming with 2 out, and the opportunity for Missouri to turn the tables here. What would help you when you were in a batting funk?
I think it's the belief and the trust. You know, obviously when you're in a batting slump, you start to overthink things. You want to overdo, but sometimes less is more. And if you can just think about hitting the ball hard, line drives, being a hard out.
Well, slow roller, shortstop, and the ball squirts out of Mosley's glove. It looked like an easy play, and it was anything but. And the bases are loaded for Missouri.
These are the defense miscues that you don't want to come back and haunt you. And Armistead just with a flip to Mosley, and just didn't seem like she had it secured.
So no. Tony ball step off the base and be able to
review. The play on the field is upheld. No control of the ball.
She would have been able to show Ronald White, the third base umpire, here's the ball, I'm headed back to the dugout.
Right.
So the 4th error of the series for Georgia. 2 last night, 1 in right field in the game earlier today. This one on what looked like out number 3 of the inning. Instead it continues. Phillips at third, Langer at second, and Jenna Laird is on the bases. And Alex Honnold at the plate.
And if you're the Tigers, this is exactly who you want. I mean, Alex Honnold, she has been hitting line shots every single at-bat. Even though she's, 0 for 1 on the day, her first at-bat lined out to center field, and she is on it.
4 for 7 in the series. Strokes it out toward left, right at Jaden Goodwin, and the inning is over. But here in the second, Kara Daly with a solo home run, and we are tied at...
It's more battle testing them and getting them ready for postseason.
Sarah Mosley leading off the inning for Georgia, and a long way to go for Langer, who battles the tarp there at the boundary in a long strike 1. Well, a win today for Georgia gives them their first series victory since they won their first 2 against Alabama and Mississippi. They've lost 2 of 3 in successive weekends to Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky. But as it stands now, the latest projections from D1Softball.com have both of these teams at home for the first weekend of the postseason. And it would be a familiar opponent for Georgia. There's this fly ball to right field, quite playable for Langer. USC Upstate, who was just here in the midweek game, and then a team that absolutely no one wants to see is Virginia Tech coming to your regional and Eastern Kentucky. And for Mizzou, the projection from D1 Softball is having them Kansas, Indiana, and Eastern Illinois going to Como. But that Virginia Tech lineup is scary. Speaking of the ACC today, just checking out the scores between games. After Virginia lost in a painful fashion against Duke last night, they got the upset win in Game 2 of the series. This has just been a topsy-turvy week if you're a ranked team.
Yeah, it's upset city everywhere. I mean, your phone is blowing up with all these different scores, and it's just hard to keep up. But a lot of fun.
That scoop just short of the warning track. Sydney Kuma out number 2. You must have like at least 3 softball group chats that you're in, right?
I'm in several, and they're all blowing up. I mean, last night with that.
The limit does not exist.
Yeah, that UCLA game, my phone was blowing up with the obstruction call at home, and it's so much fun to be able to talk with past teammates and just to be able to talk the game and follow along. Because today, on any given day, anybody can win. It's been a lot of fun.
I'm not always proud of my screen time on Sunday when the notification comes through, but sometimes it's absolutely worth it. Chambly, the opposite field knock. Last game looking to avoid a 1-2-3 Georgia inning. McCann in the circle, the freshman, getting the start here in Game 2 of the doubleheader. After she gave up a leadoff single to Dallas Goodnight in the first, has retired 5 in a row and on the verge of making it 6.
Yes, and that rise ball is just so hard to not swing at. I always say rise balls are like steak dinners. I mean, like, they're at eye level. You know you shouldn't have them, but you still want to swing at them. But the way that McCann can make that ball jump is incredible.
And they're even better when they don't cost anything. On the run, nice grab, Phillips. Sensing the coming up in the lineup. All season long, we've really had a team-first mentality. But another thing that she did to help her players see things a little bit differently this way was setting up, because you don't have as much practice time when you get into this deep in the season, especially you got midweek games, travel, the whole deal. Set up an exit velocity system for the team to help show them how much their lower body impacts what they're doing at the plate. Especially the younger hitters tend to think that their arms are going to be what generates the power. And in fact, it all starts with the legs.
Absolutely. That's how you 100% generate your power, is staying in your legs, staying in the ground. And, sometimes too, when you're facing a pitcher that's blowing smoke, you think you got to go and catch up with it, and you do get more handsy. But what's going to supply the power is the pitcher, and also you staying in your legs. And I loved when she talked about the hit tracks and the exit velo and creating a little competition.
How big is that too? Because you got a roster full of young women who are natural competitors. And if you set it up that it's a win for everybody with that competition, that's really good coaching.
Yeah, that's what's so fun. I mean, everybody's a competitor out here, and when you can make practice fun and then you're also learning in it, that's when you can hopefully translate it into a game. It's like, yes, okay, when I was able to get that extra velo, I stayed more in my legs, and hopefully it translates over.
Here's Abby Hay 0 for 1. And it was a point I really hadn't thought about all that much, of how little practice time there is, that you go from a weekend series into a midweek game, into traveling Thursday to play Friday, and then your schedule might get turned upside down because all of a sudden you're playing 2 on Saturday, or in the case of Kentucky and Auburn, they had a lightning delay. So many things that can get turned upside down, but find those small moments, those teaching moments, because all of a sudden you could blink and boom, June 1st is on the calendar.
Yeah, those midweek games could be so brutal. I mean, sometimes they're great. They're a blessing in disguise because they are an opportunity to put a lineup together and actually play the game and work out some kinks and get some things together. But then sometimes they can snipe you. You get an upset, you lose a game. but you're not really getting to have a full-on practice. And nothing can really, duplicate practice of just creating a safe place where players can work on their swings, get extra ground balls.
And last weekend they had their alumni game on Saturday as well. So Missouri was at the ballpark. Larissa estimated 12, 13 hours. And so that definitely takes something out of you. I know my people meter runs down to 0 after long days. Need some time to recharge. So then they had to come back play Sunday. But she said the thought was, especially when you're traveling, you're on the bus for a while, whatever the case might be, the natural inclination is to say, all right, well, let's get a stretch in, let's do something like that. But instead, they've actually gone to quick lifts to get the nervous system activated and get their bodies ready for the high-intensity 3 hours that are going to follow.
Yeah, so when you think about stretching naturally cools you down. And when you're traveling, you want to kind of jumpstart yourself and kind of get yourself going. And I love that. I love hearing that. And a lot of teams should probably implement that. And I wish I would have had that. I was always one of those people that was taught to stretch after flights and things of that nature. But it's always nice to move your body a little bit more.
Hay gets a hold of that, drives it deep center field, and it's gone! Abby Hay with the second Missouri home run of the ball game, the second of her Tigers career as it leaves the yard, and it's 2-1 Mizzou.
And what a moment to do this for Hay. Taking this ball on the inner half, it's a little bit elevated, dead center. And what a great feeling to get your team back on top. 2-1 Mizzou.
And how much is she validating the choice by Larissa Anderson to put her in the cleanup spot? A phenomenal first game today, and here, after striking out looking to end the first, deposits a souvenir over the wall. That's a trend-breaking home run also from Hay, because it's the first time in this series, now in Game 3, where the team that has scored first has had the lead taken away. Tigers pounced early yesterday. Bulldogs did the same in Game 1 today. 1-2, and Abrascato can't hold up. Gordon completes the strikeout, and there are 2 gone.
Next up, the designated player, number 12, Katie Chester.
Katie Chester, another power threat. 0 for 1 with a fly out to left.
Just a good location for that changeup in that hitter's count. Especially as a hitter in that hitter's count, you're thinking, I'm going to stand in here and I'm going to rope it, but back is just doing a good job of changing speeds.
We saw in Game 1 today, too. She used that changeup really effectively, at times as a strikeout pitch.
Yeah, she's so impressive. She can throw that changeup in any count. She can throw it for a strike, and she can also throw it as a waste pitch.
2-2 over to Armistead. Inning is over. Abby Hay with a solo home run.
Arguably the top pitcher in the country right now. So a lot of great teams.
First pitch swinging, and Emily Digby has a single out toward left field. So the leadoff runner aboard, second time in the first 3 innings, breaks up a string of 6 straight, retired by McCann. Well, 2 weeks ago, Oklahoma loses their first Big 12 series since 2011, which just looks like a typo. They lost 2 of 3 at Texas. Lose the middle game of their series against BYU, 9-4, and losing by 5 was their biggest margin of defeat since before COVID, February 22nd, 2020 against Washington. That bunt pushed past McCann, executed beautifully by Ellie Armistead. First and second, nobody out, top of the lineup on the way.
And this Georgia Bulldog team, they are just putting on so much pressure on the Tigers defense, and just a great job by Armistead just to try to sacrifice herself, but also picks up a hit on the day.
A Bermuda Triangle bunt there between first, second, and the circle in the High A Midwest League. So she said, yeah, when we sit down at the dinner table, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Bunt from Goodnight is a foul ball, strike 1. But this is a really dicey situation. You've got 2 runners on. You've got Goodnight, who bunted for a single, stole second, came in to score in the first. And she presents myriad ways to get on base. As you mentioned earlier, last weekend in Lexington, hit her first home run of the season, drops this down. It's Daly throwing to first. Ball is dropped by Gallagher, and Georgia ties the game. They put the Tigers in the vice grips. Pressure is on, and Georgia takes advantage.
And Dallas Goodnight just continuing to use that speed, putting that bunt down, again, trying to sacrifice herself, but that speed puts so much pressure on this Tiger defense.
So Digby is in, Armistead to third, Goodnight over at first, nobody out. And Lindy Ray Davis pinch hitting here for Sarah Gordon in the number 2 spot. And there goes Goodnight, no throw to second.
Field is upheld. The runner did not leave early.
So Goodnight at second. Armistead is at third. Nobody out. And as Goodnight reached base, it goes down as a sacrifice and an error on Gallagher over at first. Davis zips it foul, 1-1. So just as quickly as Georgia took a lead, Missouri tied it and then took their lead. The Bulldogs have come storming right back, looking to end a 3-series losing streak. And I'll be curious to see here, because you've got one catcher pinch hitting for another. Gordon started game 1, whether Davis stays in the game for the final 4 innings. 1-2, lifted out to right center field. This will get at least 1 home. Arnold makes the catch, everybody tags, takes a base. It's Armistead in. Goodnight to third, and Davis with a successful pinch hitting appearance to give Georgia a 3-2 lead.
just some good situational hitting. You know, as a hitter, you're looking to elevate that ball and get that to the green. You know, you've got speed on the bases, and again, another productive out.
Goodwin with the sac fly scored Goodnight in the first. He reached in the infield single, stole second, and took third on an error. Kring's in the circle here. Start yesterday, and a really good one for her. 5 1/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, walked 3, struck out 4. But when she got into trouble, she erased those base runners. Left the bases loaded in the second and stranded 2, each in the second and fifth. And she makes the shore out over at first base as Goodnight scores on the bunt from Goodwin. 4-2, Georgia.
And just another way of some good run manufacturing and trying to make things happen. I mean, just a completely different offense that we're seeing, not trying to rely on that long ball, not trying to rely on trying to hit a 7-run home run like we talked to Coach Amico in the beginning of the game, and just putting down bunts, putting the ball in play.
Exactly what you would have predicted coming into the day.
Yes, right? Absolutely not.
But it's finding a way to win.
Right.
When what has worked for you isn't,
right.
It's trying something else. It worked for George Costanza at the coffee shop, and it's working for Georgia today. If everything I'm trying isn't working, then the opposite must work. So a 3-run third, and not done yet, with Kearney and her SEC leading 15 homers in the right-hand batter's box. They've scored 4 runs and yet only have 3 singles. One hop, Gallagher the turn, and the inning is over.
Written this. We couldn't have put this together if we tried. If we were betting our money, I think, Mike, we would have lost all of our money. And but this is game 3, you know, and both of these teams want this game. And for Georgia, they want that momentum so bad.
Bottom third of the lineup, and it begins with Kara Daly. So let's see how Backus works here against Daly, who hit a home run out toward left field back in the second inning. That tied the game at 1. Missouri added another on an Abby Hay home run in the third. Georgia, 3 in the third. Backus now working with Lindy Ray Davis behind the plate as she pinch hit for Sarah Gordon. And the 1-1 out to the gap, tracked down by Goodnight. Those are some serious shades there. Not a ray of sunlight is getting through on those.
Oh yeah, she is blocking out that sun.
Did you ever wear the flip-up ones?
I wasn't a sunglass person. The depth perception would mess me up as a shortstop, so they were cool though. Maybe on practice days.
I can see that. I've tried to wear them playing tennis, and you're right. The ball coming at you, it throws everything off. I'd rather squint.
Yeah. As opposed to getting hit, you know. If you've got the sunglasses, it definitely messes with that depth perception.
Safe bet. And looking cool has never been a problem for me, 'cause it's never happened yet. Phillips, a half swing. Can she beat it out? Davis on target to first base. It would have worked well as a bunt. Unfortunately, that was not her intended outcome.
Yeah, but Davis, she jumps out so quick and gets such a good jump on this and a good pulse and puts down the threat of that even being a hit at all.
And as we saw with Mizzou trying to defend against a bunt earlier, that throw down to first base is no sure thing. Catcher's got to find the right angle to make that throw up the first base line. Langer's base hit, a soft line drive out into left field. Now a couple times here, Backus has come up a little short on a couple of pitches.
Yeah, and you almost wonder if she's losing her grip on that changeup a little bit. You know, it's a little bit humid today and maybe a little bit moisture on her hands, but just having a hard time finding those last two changeups.
That is hit high, deep to left field. Goodwin squares it up. She's got it. It's a 1-2-3-4 for Lily Backus. She's retired 5 in a row. Took it home in the last 100 meters. Sarah Mosley leading it off. It'll be Sydney Kuma, Sydney Chambly. 5, 6, and 7 for Georgia. This trio went 0 for 3 back in the second. But that was before Krings came into the game. She took over a couple batters into the third, so it's the first time they're facing her today. And she's really been elevated responsibility-wise this year. Stepping into the #1 role, that was Jordan Weber over the last couple of years. For the native of Colorado, just north of Denver, a 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year there, and has made her mark here at Missouri in the SEC, now in her senior season. High pop, foul ground. Not a lot of room to operate there. And right up against the fence. That's nabbed for the out. Well, short operating space for Jenna Laird. She covers a ton of ground.
Covers a ton of ground and does it so calmly. I mean, I love her composure of not panicking. She goes and she finds the fence. She sees the camera, makes sure nothing's in her way, makes a solid catch.
Kuma, like Krings, players who have come a long way to find their college homes. Kuma especially from the West Coast, from Fresno. The most productive agricultural region in the country. They will be happy to tell you if you make a visit to Fresno.
And you can see with the righty hitters with Krings on Friday night on game 1, she was busting them more inside. She was trying to speed the hitters timing up a little bit. She was going up with that rise up and in, and then she would try to go with that curve and change to finish off. But now she's throwing the changeup earlier in the count.
It makes me think about what Coach Baldwin said of the way that these last 3 weekends have gone, where they've dropped 3 series in a row. They've lost game 1. You know it's going to be the ace in the circle. They've won game 2 and lost game 3. And so the pattern there, he said, yeah, we're facing the ace pitcher, but that's the case for everybody every weekend. Generally, you get the sense that it's going to be Friday, Sunday, the best pitcher out there. And so now they have a chance to break that streak here. They lost game 1, they won game 2, and have the lead here, bottom 4. And the ace back in the game. What I thought was interesting, too, was that from the Missouri side, they thought with pitchers who work up in the zone, that was going to be problematic going up against a team that has the ability to pop off for a ton of home runs like Georgia does. And then you ask Georgia about it, and their perspective is, yeah, well, we faced pitchers like that this year, and yet they've kept us in check.
Yes, and last weekend against Schooner for Kentucky, just the rise ball, they had pitch selection. They were swinging at pitches way, way, way over their head, and so that was one of the things coming into this weekend was refining their pitch selection and making sure they were a little bit more disciplined at the plate.
Krings a strike away from a 1-2-3 fourth, keeping it a 2-run lead for Georgia. Came inside on Chambly and gets exactly what she wants, which is an easy way from meeting Jenna Laird that she knew that she was an amazing athlete. She would come to camps, would watch her grow, and they had her on campus back when, as we mentioned earlier, you could do that in 7th or 8th grade. I think we're in a healthier place recruiting-wise at this point. And so she just said she was so excited to show that kids from the Northeast could win. It's not going her way there, a hard hit ball, but right at Armistead. And so that when Anderson got the job at Missouri, she flew out and recommitted to say, Coach, I want to play for you no matter where you go.
Awesome. I mean, I just think she's just such a phenomenal athlete, and so it speaks volumes about her. And again, she's not getting the outcomes today, but still a hard out.
And the relationship piece of it too, that, a lot of stories sound similar, but for a player like Lily Backus going to the portal, or Sarah Gordon for Georgia, that when you get on the phone with Coach Baldwin, as we talk about just the Georgia transfers in particular, that it's a staff that makes you feel welcome. And what does everybody say? It feels like family. Long drive, left center field, off the top of the fence. And Honnold into second base. Boy, how many times in the course of a day will you see two balls off the top of the fence? We saw one leave the yard, and the ballpark just holds that for Honnold.
Just take a look at Honnold. I mean, she's got such effortless power. I mean, less is best, but I think that this ball almost might be out, and I would want to review this. But.
And Gallagher, first pitch swinging, center field. That's out number 2. So the Tigers have an opportunity to cut into the deficit here at 4-2. And Honnold missing what would have been her 5th home run of the year by inches.
Exactly. I think that she wants that to go out.
Abby Hay, phenomenal, moved up into the cleanup spot for game 2. 3 extra base hits. And she's already gone deep today, a solo home run back in the 3rd. Georgia struck first, a run in the 1st. Missouri comes back with a solo home run from Garrett Daly in the 2nd. Hay in the 3rd, but then Georgia responded with a 3-run 3rd, and that's how we get to 4-2. Big pitch here with Backus behind 3-1. Change up, check swing. And she held up all 4. Second walk allowed by Backus. The other one came in the 1st. And this is a big moment here. You got back-to-back freshmen in the lineup. Larissa Anderson understanding that. It's a pressure situation. You're on the road, series on the line in the SEC. And the plate appearance belongs to Stefania Abriscato.
Yeah, and just a great experience for them to be in these pressure moments, to have this experience.
She's the daughter of a coach. Her dad, Thomas, played in college, high school baseball coach. Her sister, Juliana, senior outfielder at UConn. So even if she hasn't been in a particular situation, she's seen it firsthand with her family. 1 ball, 1 strike as Backus closes in on 90 pitches. And the tying runs on base for Mizzou. Now, very close take there from Abriscato. 3-1 now. 3-1 to back-to-back hitters, as a matter of fact, as Hay took ball 4. 2 out, 2 on. 3-1, big swing, but just missed on it, and the inning is over. So the Tigers board top 5, and Emily Digby has only seen 1 pitch. Swung and hit a single out toward left. Swings again at the first pitch, and this time comes up empty.
And smart pitch for Krings to lead off with that changeup, knowing that her last at bat she swung at first pitch and throwing that changeup.
And Larissa Anderson making a change behind the plate as well, as Crenshaw, who was the starter in game 1, returns here in relief of Abriscato. Both teams with freshmen at first base. Hay for Mizzou, Digby, the converted shortstop, over at first. And it's always impressive to see a freshman jump in and handle the transition so well. The transition, if you're staying at the same position, is hard enough, let alone learning a new one. And coaches have to love that, knowing that there's a foundational piece of your team's future right there.
Yes, there's so much beauty of being a freshman. You can come in and essentially play free. You're still learning. There's obviously this huge learning curve of playing at the next level, but it's a lot of fun when you can just sit back and just play, and the expectations aren't necessarily there yet.
Was that what it was like for you?
As a freshman, yeah. And once you're your senior year, you feel like you're not necessarily playing tighter, but it means more. This is your last go around, and obviously, the expectations are set for yourself. You've, made a name for yourself or not made your name. It's just a lot rises on that last year that you get to put on the uniform.
What about, as that bounces away from Hay, what about the intimidation factor of you played for the most storied program in the history of college softball, of stepping in and knowing what the accomplishments are of the players who are on your team who have been there before you?
Yeah, that obviously plays into it too, of, stepping into a program with high tradition, but also too knowing, I was recruited here. A coach wanted me to come here and play, and having that opportunity to just be free. Like, it's a freshman year is your opportunity just to play free and to continue to learn.
Was that something you realized in retrospect?
Yeah. During, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. This is hard. Everything's coming at me. We've got school weights. Oh my gosh, there's a lot going on. But, as you go through and, by the time you hit your senior year, man, like freshman year, that was great. There was a lot of, room for error that a coach gave you. The expectations weren't there as much.
This will be fascinating to see how they work here against Goodnight, because I think from either lineup 1 through 9, she's been the most difficult out this weekend. Scored 2 of their 4 runs. Waves and misses 1 and 2. 4 for 8 in the series for Goodnight. And for her, a ball that travels 5 feet can be as impactful as one that travels 250. They pinch the corners. She fouls it away.
And for a player like Goodnight, I mean, it's so fun when you have options to be able to change from pitch to pitch. You know, if you're slapping, running through the box, that opens up your game a little bit more. The defenders come in. Now you can stand in and you can hit. So being a triple threat, you need to use that to your advantage.
And that was a tremendous put-away pitch there from Krings. Left it up there, and Goodnight waved and missed.
Now batting for the number 11, Lindsay Ray Davis.
Second trip for Lindy Ray Davis. And both outs here in the 5th on strikeouts for Krings. Who came on back in the 3rd in relief of McCann. So here's strike 3 to Goodnight.
And this changeup just falls off the table. I mean, she pulls the yo-yo on that, and there's not much that you can do with that, even if you know it's coming.
Krings on the verge of a 3rd strikeout in the inning. Gets a chopper right side, and the inning is over. Time winding down here at the series finale. And it's Katie Chester leading off here against Lily Backus, still going strong through 5 innings. And there has been at times action in the bullpen, but as of right now, nobody warming up. Backus, their innings leader by a good number on the year. Busy today, 5 2/3 yesterday, 1 2/3 in game 1 to pick up the save. And Chester hits it a mile high and just onto the outfield grass as Kuma battles the sun and wins.
Now coming to the plate, the third baseman, number 19, Kara Daly.
Well, we were talking a few innings ago about Larissa Anderson challenging her team, using that lower body strength and showing them on the hit tracks data just how hard they can hit the ball. She said the player always at the front of that leaderboard is Kara Daly, who's up here. She went deep earlier in the game, solo home run in the 2nd, that at the time tied the game at 1.
And even, you know, going and talking about how to raise that velo of staying in your legs. I mean, that solo home run was so effortless. I mean, she was so down in her legs, and being able to use that to leverage to get that ball to get out of here.
Another well-struck ball, and a gapper takes a weird bounce away from Goodnight, but within her vicinity to be able to track it down. 2nd extra base hit for Daly in this game. She's 2 for 3, and once again gives Missouri the tying run at the plate.
Yeah, just take a look at how much she is in her legs. She doesn't have a lot of movement with her base. She's lets the ball travel, lets it get deep, hits this ball out in front. This is a good piece of hitting.
Shantice Phillips 0 for 1, was grazed by a pitch in the second and a half swing that bounced just up the first base line. She was thrown out her last time up in the fourth. Missouri this year has not been a team, statistically speaking, that will beat you with the long ball. In fact, coming into the series, you look at just 3 players on the Georgia roster. Kearney, Mosley, Kuma combined for more home runs than the entire Missouri squad. Came into the weekend with the 3rd fewest homers in the SEC on the year. Two Backus off the hands. Right at 100 pitches on the afternoon for Backus here in game 3. And Phillips will see another. How about Larissa Anderson, by the way, third base coach's box? How often do you see the coach in the box?
Not very often, and especially not with these elite hitters. I am starting to stand way back, as close to left field if I can.
Or you'll see some that will come back down toward home plate. Fearless. Slow roller, and Mosley gets the out over at first. 2 gone, Tigers here in the 6th. Through 5, Mizzou stranding 6 runners aboard. And now another here as Langer, for the 2nd straight batter, represents the tying run in a 4-2 game. Still time to go, and I don't know anyone crazy enough to look this up. But I'd love to know if this final score held when the last time a 3-game series had the same final score in each of the 3 games. Maybe the more fun question wouldn't be the last time it happened. This is easier to figure out. I don't know how to do it, but somebody would. The 0-2 is lined into center field, and oh my goodness! Dallas Goodnight with a case of week 2 against Ole Miss, a sweep. That was against the last place team in the league, but their last 3 conference series, they've lost 2 out of 3. And they can give themselves some insurance here with Jaden Goodwin leading off and a 4-2 lead in the last of the 6th. First pitch swinging, and Jenna Laird makes it out number 1. And to no surprise, since Lauren Krings came into this game, it's been quiet offensively for Georgia.
Yes, Lauren Krings, I mean, she just does such an incredible job of just mixing in that changeup and going in on the hands of all the righties, but she's been starting most of these sequences with changeups and then getting these hitters to pop up.
On the plus side for Missouri, they've got 1, 2, and 3 in the order due up in the 7th. As Krings hopes to keep the deficit at just 2. So you got the home run leader in the SEC, 15 of them for Kearney. Having the best offensive season of her career. A 345 hitter career starting this game at 364.
There's that changeup again.
Does she go back to it? Instead, it's heat up and in. Krings fans Georgia's cleanup hitter. 2 up, 2 down.
And this is the changeup, and it is so money falling off the table. It's Kearney swinging.
Well, when she got Goodnight for the second out of the 5th, Goodnight swung right over the top of that. That swing path there from Kearney appeared to be right where the ball was. That was the problem, past tense. First pitch swinging. Daly to Hay. The inning is over. 1-2.
One today. But Backus is holding her own.
Shelby Walters pitched 5 1/3 in game 1, allowed just 1 earned run, and then Backus with an inning and 2/3 scoreless. And we've seen a lot of different pitching combinations this year. Between Backus, Kerpick's not available today. Walters. So the starters have not necessarily been locked in stone for Georgia. And you get the feeling a little bit here from the Georgia dugout that with as well as she's been pitching, why change anything up? Because you're going to feel great if you get this series victory here. And you got the day off tomorrow that you didn't expect. One and 2 to Jenna Laird, the Missouri shortstop who is hitless in the series. So here's her 12th plate appearance, down 1-2. And it's right to Goodwin. Rally caps working. I don't know if that towel's for good luck or just shade, but that's going. Gloves stacked. Now can they stack some base runners, some base hits, down 2 outs to work with. And Alex Honnold, who was, go metric, centimeters, inches away from a home run.
It's got to be centimeters.
Millimeters? She hit it off the top of the wall out in left center field last time up. And has a seeing eye single through the right side. Honnold 2 for 4 and allows Missouri to bring the tying run to the plate here in the 7th. It hasn't been for lack of base runners. They went down 1-2-3 in the 4th, but had 2 runners on in the 5th, another runner with Daly, a double off the wall in the 6th, and now Honnold with 1 out for Gallagher. Two straight out of the zone. nobody is untouchable in this league. We saw the top 2 teams fall earlier today. Count 2-2, and these teams came into play 8-8 in the league. Georgia took game 1 of the doubleheader today, game 2 of the series, to improve to 9-8. Mizzou 8-9. Both teams in position to host in the postseason. Georgia looking for the series win. Missouri hoping for a comeback. And they got back-to-back base hits here in the 7th. There is life yet in those Tiger bats.
Gallagher just was seeing the ball very well that last at-bat, just seeing the ball deep. She was on the plate a little bit. Looked like she was looking away. Does a good job of just keeping her hands inside and going with the pitch, not doing too much.
So the batter is Abby Hay, the freshman first baseman. 1 for 2, a walk, a solo home run. Swings a big bat. How should Chelsea Wilkinson, the pitching coach for Georgia, pitch to her here?
If I am Wilkinson, I am going to try to throw more off speed, keep that ball down.
And the 1-0 is off of Armistead's glove. Her throw to third is wild, and the ball, fortunately for Georgia, rolls back into the field of play, but the Tigers play. Bases full, 1 out. Missouri down 2 here in the 7th. Oh, and how the nerves must be jumping to come off the bench. And the first pitches you see in game 3 are the most important ones of the day for everybody.
And again, if I am Backus, I want to use my defense. I want to let my defense work for me behind me. You can see the middles playing back, play into that double play.
0-2, she got it to chase the rise.
Or better yet, I'm going to do it myself with this rise. This is zipping through the zone. This is a big, big K.
So it's up to Katie Chester against Lily Backus. 0-1 in a situation where a base hit will get a green light and could easily tie this game at 4. Well, we're not there yet, but doesn't this just feel like the postseason right now?
It really does. It feels like a super regional. I mean, just these 3-game series.
Backus climbs the ladder again. She's a strike away from the complete game and the series win. Not much left to be said at this point.
Yeah, at this moment, you just compete, you know? You've got to trust all the work that you put in, and this is when it's fun. You just get to sit back and you got to compete.
Backus retired Laird to start the inning. Now the base is full, 2 out, and an 0-2. Just gets a piece.
I would go back to that rise, maybe a little bit more out of the zone.
Off the plate, up and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Just trying to see, after she got ahead in the count, if she could get a swing and a miss at a pitch that was never going to be a strike. Out of play. With the thud of that ball on the roof, you know so much why the Georgia hitters missed the bleachers in center field. It's an emphatic collision. Another time, the 2-2 to Chester. And that just misses 3-2. Oh boy.
Oh man. Sweaty palms and all.
Bases full, 2 out, 3-2. Shallow right, Kuma out, Chambly in, ball game over. And for the first time in 4 SEC series,